Well, that's one way to go out there and play the worst team in the NHL. A nail-biter, down to the final second. The Vancouver Canucks have defeated the Chicago Blackhawks 4-3 in Chicago. And my goodness, I think Tej on Twitter said it the best. Can we ban morning games, please? Like, it interferes with everything that I've got going on with this show and the momentum and how I schedule things, and the audience is paying attention to the Canucks. It's very off-putting having these games scheduled so early in the morning. The Canucks have another early game next week too, I believe, is it not? Or no, in 2 weeks, in the new year, something like that. But either way, today's morning game is a much better showcase from the Vancouver Canucks than the morning game yesterday, wherein they lost 2-1 in the shootout to the Minnesota Wild. This one, of course, I mean, you're playing a much inferior team, and the Chicago Blackhawks, you kind of hoped that the game would be a lot better for Vancouver. It actually gets off to a pretty bad start, though. And if you take a look at the tail of the tape, within the first, 14-15 minutes of play, the Vancouver Canucks were getting outshot like crazy in the first period. They were down 1-0 off of a tip-in by Nick Foligno, and everything, with about, 5 minutes left in the first period, just was going Chicago's way. How do you even begin to describe what happened in the first period of this game? You know, we said yesterday that I didn't wake up early enough to watch the Canucks game against the Wild, and the Canucks might not have woken up early for the same reason, and that's why they were kind of lackluster against Mini. Well, maybe you could say the same thing here. Early game Chicago, they get off to a very bad start. It's Nick Foligno with the 1-0 goal that gets everything going. A really nice play, actually, by Joey Anderson, who sets it out in front for Foligno to get that tip. But 1-0 doesn't last for too long, as the Vancouver Canucks quickly get themselves back up on the board with a somewhat relieving goal scored by Elias Pettersson on the power play. It's Filip Hronek who goes over to JT Miller on the left side. Miller goes cross-crease to Petey, one-timer right in. Very good shot, very good goal. The Canucks had a two-man advantage, actually, on this power play, but the Pettersson goal came right after the first power play expired, so it was just a regular 5-on-4 power play marker. Connor Murphy was also taken out of the play too with a shot block earlier in that segment. But after the first period, Vancouver down in the shots 13-5. They end up giving the momentum right back to Chicago at the start of the second, as it's Nick Foligno, once again, who gets himself a goal to give the Chicago Blackhawks the lead. This time the Hawks are on the power play themselves. It's Connor Bedard, who gets all the space in the world. Both the Canucks who are supposed to be on him are just kind of too far back, and it allows Bedard to just walk in, take a shot. The save is made by Demko, but the rebound is right there for Nick Foligno to pot it in. That's the 2-1 goal. It's a power play marker. Vancouver is down 35 seconds into the second period. But I'll give the Canucks credit. They strike back. They're fierce. It's Dakota Joshua, just 2.5 minutes later, who is able to restore the tie game. Connor Garland does the brunt work here on this shift as he forces the puck into the zone, curls around at the half board, stops up. He notices the Blackhawks defenders giving him space, so he winds up with a beautiful slap pass, Sedin style, and Dakota Joshua, the Alex Burrows on this play, is able to tip it right by Petr Mrazek. What a beautiful play there by the Vancouver Canucks. It's almost like something you've seen before, maybe like a decade ago, who really knows? But it's 2-2 here, just minutes after Nick Foligno gave the Blackhawks the lead. And 40 seconds after Dakota Joshua makes it 2-2, it's Tyler Myers who sends a long pass up the boards in the Canucks zone. It finds itself over to JT Miller in the neutral zone, who throws it up to Brock Boeser, who comes right in on a mini 2-on-1. He notices the defender cutting towards the middle to take away the pass, and Boeser says, okay, bet. I'm just going to shoot it myself, go top corner, and pinpoint that right side. Boeser scores one of the most beautiful goals he has scored all season. That's classic Brock right there, picking corners and getting the snipes. With that 23rd goal on the season, he is now tied with Austin Matthews for first in the NHL in goals. JT Miller got his second assist of the night on this goal, so he is up to, 45 points on the season now, overtaking Nathan MacKinnon. Now, I guess he was tied with MacKinnon, so it was already pretty tight there, but still, JT Miller getting 2 assists in this game was very good for his Art Ross chances if you're paying attention. And then you give it 12 more minutes after that, and Ilya Mikheyev is able to get a tip-in off of a Tyler Myers shot. Initially, we thought this was Elias Pettersson's goal. Based off of the body language, though, it was clear that Mikheyev was the guy that tipped it, assisted by Myers and Pia Sutar. So there you go, Suter getting himself involved in the play. He was the one who sent it back to Myers, and then Myers, of course, with the long drive. This gives Vancouver a 4-2 lead, and this second period, honestly, was just Vancouver putting in work. So much possession, so much control. They were doing a really good job just keeping the Chicago Blackhawks on their heels and not allowing Chicago to breathe. This was a really good showcase in the second period, but it all kind of came crumbling away in the third when Chicago struck early. Second power play goal of the night for the Blackhawks. It's Guttman who's able to get the pickup after Connor Bedard drops the puck in the offensive zone. He takes a shot, it beats Demko. It's kind of a confusing play, and it brings the Hawks within one of Vancouver. Connor Bedard gets 2 assists in this game, so he got the Foligno assist as well as the Guttman assist. And for the rest of the third period, you started to see chances go back and forth. Both of the teams started to possess the puck pretty nicely. And then at the end there, when the Blackhawks had the empty net, Elias Pettersson straight up trips Connor Bedard, and there's no call on the play. Connor Bedard is pissed off. He is yelling at the referees after the game, "Wake the F up, wake up at the refs." The Canucks tried to get the empty net, but it was blocked in front there by the defenseman Zaitsev. But at the end of the day, the Canucks hang on. They have the 4-3 win in this game. Thatcher Demko had a pretty okay night. I mean, the goals that beat him, you can't really blame the rebounds. You can't blame the tip-ins in front. Really, the only goal that I could say was his fault, quote-unquote, was the Guttman goal, but that was because Connor Bedard had the puck and he was going one way, dropped it off, Guttman picked it up and shot it the opposite way. Demko, though, makes 25 saves and 28 shots against. Not the best night in the world, .893 save percentage. Meanwhile, you have Petr Mrazek on the Chicago end making 22 saves on 26 shots, so not a particularly fantastic performance out of him either, but the Canucks had some pretty good goals to bat everything in there, so Dakota Joshua, you like to see the tip-ins, you like to see the Boeser snipes, you like to see the Mikheyev tips in front too. But at the end of the day, this was a Vancouver Canucks team that admittedly did not play their best, but still got the job done. It's kind of crazy how the standards and the expectations are much higher now because, hey, the Canucks can win a game, and we're still kind of feeling frustrated a little bit, saying, hey, they could have been a lot better than that. In prior years, it was like, oh, they got the win, let's go. Like, nothing else beyond that, they won. But now it's like, yeah, they're playing the worst team in the NHL and they barely squeaked out with the win. They were down twice in this game, were able to come back, but again, it's against the worst team in the NHL, so the fact that they were down in the first place, you could debate that was not really a high point of this road trip. Either way, they've still won a whole bunch in their past few games. Sure, you could debate the easiness of the schedule contributes to the results here, but at the end of the day, this is what the schedule makers gave Vancouver. You can't go out there and discredit that sometimes games are supposed to be tough, and even if you're playing off against opponents that are down there in the standings, hey, guess what? The Canucks are on the second half of a back-to-back in early games in Minnesota and Chicago. This is so odd just to see the scheduling work itself out this way. And the fact that the Canucks squeaked out with the win was at the very least the result that you wanted. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks going out there and getting the win. I guess if we look at the standings here and see where it is. Yeah, Vancouver is back to second in the NHL. They have overtaken the Rangers once again and the Bruins with tonight's win. Of course, they have a lot more games played, so things aren't really too solidified there. But the two best teams in the NHL right now by points straight up are Pacific Division teams. So that seems to be a pretty good matchup. LA is right down there at 5th overall in the NHL too. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks beating the Blackhawks 4-3. Boeser is tied with Matthews. The Canucks are up in second. Miller is getting more points. Connor Bedard doesn't get the result that he wants. He's complaining to the referees because admittedly he did get tripped. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.